Why is it wrong to loot Walmart? Why would it be wrong to loot any of these giant Fortune 500 companies? I'm actually asking this question, and I'm asking this of the right, not the left. The left agree with me on this. They're okay with that. They're perfectly, and I'm good with that. I mean, like, I don't agree with any of their politics, but I mean, if they want to, loot a bunch of fraud, go right ahead. What am I going to do? I'm not my brother's keeper. Go right ahead and do whatever the hell you want. But I'm actually asking the people on the so-called right at this point, why is it wrong? Let me give you a foundation again, because I think some of you have really short-term memory. Do we have capitalism right now? Because I've asked this question for the last, and I haven't let go of this, the last 2 weeks I've been asking, why does capitalism need a central bank? And the response I get from a lot of people is, well, capitalism doesn't need a central bank. Okay, then why do we have one? Why aren't all of the paragons of capitalism screaming, hold on, we don't need a central bank. Let's get rid of this because this isn't capitalist. Instead, they're keeping all of the fruits of whatever this is. I don't see any of them returning any of the ill-gotten gains from whatever this is, right? Because if it's not capitalism, oh no, you don't understand, Axel, it's not real capitalism. You sound like the commies. See, my goal is to get all of you commies to start defending capitalism and my capitalist followers to defend communism. That way you can see that you both sound like fucking morons. Especially to somebody who does all the fucking work, because as far as I'm concerned, if it's got a central bank, if you're part of the working class, you're gonna be screwed no matter what. It doesn't make any difference what your fucking ideology is. It means nothing to me. Because the outcome is gonna be the same for the people who do all the goddamn work. So, why would it be wrong to, if we haven't had real capitalism since 1913, so for the last 112 years, what has this been? What has been lifting all these people out of poverty? Yeah, you got a problem there, don't you? Because like for the last several years, I keep hearing about how, no, look at how awesome everything's been because of capitalism. Okay, but if we haven't had capitalism since 1913, then what is this exactly? Because to me, it comes across as fucking fraud. That's what it comes across as money printing and fraud. So if all of this bullshit economy, all these Fortune 500 mega corporations and all of the bullshit that they've done, if all of that is fraud, if all of that is built on something that is other than capitalism, why is it wrong to repossess all the shit that they've stolen? I mean, think about it. Why did George Floyd, what was the problem with George Floyd? Well, he tried to pass a counterfeit money. Okay, so he got to keep what he paid for with the counterfeit money. Well, no, that's illegal. Okay, so it's not legal for him, but it's perfectly legal for a handful of so-called capitalists to overvalue all of their assets on paper, and go to the bank and say, yeah, give me a loan on these ridiculously overvalued assets, and then use a bunch of counterfeit money to buy up a bunch of shit. And then claim that, well, you're just not working hard enough, and oh, by the way, we need to flood the country with a bunch of fucking H-1Bs. We need to flood the country with a bunch of fucking illegals because Americans just won't work for minimum wage anymore. They won't work for the currency that we've destroyed. See, you have some problems with me on this. This is why, by the way, Jim, like I said this before, this is why guys like me, we're not invited to debate Charlie Kirk or any of these right-wing pundits, because people like me destroy that shit very quickly, because I don't give a fuck about your politics, and I don't give a shit if you're some chick who wants to let a bunch of fucking guys fucking spit roast you 600 times a weekend and then go abort a bunch of fucking kids. Go show the world who you really are for what you really are. Fucking whore. Go do it. But don't come back to me bitching about how nobody wants you and, oh, we're all the good men. Well, they're not going to be spit roasting you on the fucking weekend. That'd be just my guess. So all that bullshit that you guys argue about, abortion and all these other nonsense things and stuff, they're just all emotional shit. Yeah, it keeps you from talking about the fucking money. And like I keep pointing out, when your money's worthless, there's really nothing else to talk about. There is really no other discussion to have. Anywhere, I'm not kidding about that. There's no other discussion that anybody should be having if your fucking money's worthless. That's me borrowing actually from a very good friend of mine years ago who said the exact same thing. He said, look, I don't even want to hear, I don't ever want to hear any argument from anybody on politics. Until you deal with the money issue, dude, I so don't care about any of the rest of this shit, because the money issue is affecting everything else. I agree. And in fact, I couldn't agree more. That is exactly the problem. And the only people who are going to really bring that up and press that issue are going to be the people doing the fucking work. The people doing all the goddamn work. The people showing up and doing a bunch of shit that you either A, don't want to do, or B, can't do. Okay? Okay? That's how it works. You either don't want to do it or you can't do it. That's called work. People do that work for money. That's the only reason they do it. Or, or I mean, they can do it also, to help out and be neighborly. Yeah, I get all that. But I'm just saying in general, people do work because they're being compensated for it, and then with the understanding that they could take that money and then go do something with it later on that they want. That's why they do the work. They do something that they don't want to do so they can go do something that they do want to do later on. It's really that simple. Men don't work for money in the abstract sense. They work for that which the money will buy. When the money doesn't buy shit, they tend to stop working. Every one of these fucking companies hates you. Every one of these fucking companies hates you, right? So I'll ask again, conservatives, why is it wrong to loot Walmart and Amazon RDCs and all that? Why is it wrong? Law and order. Bullshit. Go fuck yourself. Law and order. If you gave a shit about law and order, there's a whole bunch of other shit going on in this world that never seems to ever get any kind of airtime, and no one ever goes to jail. God damn, that Epstein list. No one ever seems to get arrested for that shit. Yeah, don't talk to me about fucking law and order. In fact, don't talk to me about anything until you're ready to talk about the money issue. And when you're ready to talk about that, when you're ready to have a serious money conversation, all the rest of this bullshit goes aside. And then you have a real conversation with someone who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. Not a bunch of goddamn college kids. I don't understand why it is that you fucking guys in your fucking 40s and 50s, why are you going to colleges debating 19-year-old kids? I'm serious. Like, why the fuck were you doing that? Like, what is the matter with you? Why wouldn't you talk to like regular people? You remember that Obobo thing? For those of you old enough to remember Obobo. There was this one time, Obobo, that's Obama, for those of you who don't know, that's my pet name for that dickhead. Anyway, King Dingaling was walking through the park one day, and he ran into this, remember Joe the plumber, right? Like literally, Joe the plumber. This fucking guy, random guy, who completely destroyed everything that Obobo stood for. Right there in real time, and no one could do fuck all about it. It was all over the media. And this is before the proliferation of cameras, which is why this is why these guys all hide. They never want to fucking talk to anybody. All these politicians like the orange shit fuck, that's why they hide. They don't want to talk to, dude, you talk to people that are real, right? They have a tendency to be able to just crush you like the shit stick that you are, you fucking morons. Because we have no respect for you, because you are not respectable people. There's nothing about you that's respectable. Nothing. Because you can't do any of this. So why is it that a random fucking nobody like me, out here in the middle of nowhere, can talk about this kind of stuff, and there isn't a politician alive that would dare say anything, would dare even allow this kind of conversation to be within 10 feet of that motherfucker, because he'd have to start answering questions. Real questions, not these bullshit, do you wear boxers or briefs? 90s, man. Oh my God, the fucking 90s. Yeah, so anyway.